Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about something that's completely removed from everything else that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks and that we're going to be talking about more again this week because a little bit of variety never hurt anybody, and some of the stuff that we're talking about later this week is maybe a little on the tougher, more kind of difficult side to one degree or another. And so just to add some levity to this week, I figured we'd start off the week talking about something that is, for the most part, a much more fun thing, and that is memes. The thing that keeps the internet running, that keeps PewDiePie at the top of YouTube, and so on and so forth. In which case, the thing that has stood out to me about this is just how positive they can be, which is usually a thing that we don't hear about so much in its various different ways, various different forms. Now, you guys know by now, probably, if you've been watching the videos, that there's always something that triggers me, sets me off on thinking about stuff, and then I come and I talk to you guys, and I've talked to a client, I've seen a thing, I've read something in the news, and whatever else. And this week, it was the thing that got me thinking about memes and wanting to maybe convey a little bit more positivity, like in regards to them, was this. Bowsette, a character that has been entirely imagined by the community around Super Mario and the Super Mario games in the light of an item in the up and coming Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe that transforms one of the other characters, Toadette, into a relatively equivalent, slightly modified form of the more well-known Princess Peach character, the princess that's always in the other castle, which in itself is a meme. But as a result of this information coming out, of course, someone said, "But what if?" And that "what if" has then created a vast amount of artwork, of comic strips, of all kinds of things, as well as further experiments into what other characters would do if interacting with this item, how they would turn out. And as a result of this, just the vast sudden swell of creativity, of imaginative thinking that just went from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, everyone wanting to join in and share, is literally the embodiment of a meme. Because for those of you who don't know what a meme is, allow me to enlighten you. A meme, by definition, the term was originally kind of coined in the 1970s as a combination or aberration of the words from Greek mimema, which is meaning that which is imitated, and the English word gene, because these things are being passed on and propagated over time. In which case, these are, for want of a better words, being defined as socially focused genes. And so it's the full definition, as per the dictionary here, is an element of a culture or system or of behaviour passed from one individual to another by imitation or other non-genetic means. The second meaning, one that we're probably more familiar with overall, is an image, video, piece of text, etc., typically humorous in nature, that is copied and spread rapidly, usually by internet users, often with slight variations. And so as a result, these... Now that we've got a label to it, we've got memes, we've got these things, and we can see how it's usually the fun ones that go on. They propagate, they reproduce and span out and survive and live longer. Keyboard Cat, prime example of a meme from a long time ago that continues to persist. There are so many memes that are so old. Some of the ones though that often you see read like talked about in the news and stuff like that are ones that have had some kind of negative connotation brought to them by someone, often not by the creators of them, often not by the people who are actually propagating them, but usually from people on the outside looking in. But there are so many more examples of positive memes that just don't get the light of day shone on them. one of the ones that always stands to mind when talking about this stuff is this one, which Sir Ian McKellen actually went and said to a collection of students outside of a window when he was preparing for a talk or a show or something to that extent not so long ago, and he went and threw the whole line at them. And so as a result, this and its variations, rather unsurprisingly, hold with it a lot more weight otherwise. But I want to talk about one of my favourite memes of the last few years, just because, firstly, I know it will probably annoy Hannah because she hates it, but at the same time, this is a meme I just found absolutely amazing beyond all compare. Compared to memes that we've seen in the past and compared to things that we are likely to see in the future, or at least that we have seen so far after this event. This was so substantial and so widely spread so quickly with so many variations. It was like having an entirely new set of traits thrown into certain populations, and it caused such a rumbling across so many different areas. And that is the Ugandan Knuckles meme, which I know so many people hated. I loved it, and let me explain why. Because, firstly, it was the most stunning, kind of organically grown, instantaneous flash mob that we have ever seen in terms of online culture and stuff like that. Like the flood of just people joining it, getting in on it, making art around it, creating songs around it. VR chat noted an increase in users, like a huge increase in users to over the couple of million, purely because of the popularity of this meme for the most part. Yeah, like this meme went large and then it grew hugely. And for those of you that don't know this meme so much, it was created by people on YouTube. There are a couple of different people who are credited with it, but to one degree or another, there was a focus around taking lines from Ugandan cinema, most prominently the film Who Killed Captain Alex, and as a result, kind of throwing into this completely weird, strange place, which, most jokes rely on a bit of a surprise element. They pull the carpet out from under you kind of thing, in which case, that's what this did. A completely different character in a completely different, strange form in a situation you wouldn't expect, saying things you wouldn't expect, and then it just ballooned. And because people were able to jump in on it and get involved, you had this potentially one person coming in, and it's spreading like, if we're looking at it from a more social genetics kind of standpoint, it spread like a fucking disease. And yet it was positive. It brought people together. They were having fun. They were entertaining other people. It became this aggressive form of explosive performance art. And like we've not seen anything occur since. And I'm granted it's not been too long since. But also, we've got a huge potential here to just go, well, hold on. What if we could leverage this? Because we want more people to vote. We want more people to get behind sensible things. We want more people educated. We want more people involved in their communities and all that kind of thing. And yet, every time we go and touch on those kind of things with people, it becomes a case of usually... Sorry, let me get rid of this. It becomes a case of usually very dry lecturing language, positivity that's usually very unconvincing because it's very plastic. It's not organically grown or in any way something that people can ground themselves in. It's just a bit dumb in a lot of instances because people will be able to pick holes in it, and it's not just a thing that happens, it's a thing that you're left to think about, and it becomes less convincing over time. And yet we're seeing more people trying to develop grassroots movements, but most of those grassroots movements are about beating up the other guy, getting past the other guy. They're more negative than we are, so we will group together and just put them down. you didn't have that with the Ugandan Knuckles meme, or with half of these other memes. They're all in jokes that aren't in jokes anymore because they're jokes for everybody. The Ugandan Knuckles meme in particular, it was a few people that would want to get in on it, would potentially be entertaining an entire area within the VR chat collective, or whichever area that they were in at the time, whichever server, whichever construct, I suppose, they were in at the time. And so, we don't look at that as a positive thing. We've got people complaining about how it's racist when the person who created the movie that many of the inspirations for it are drawn from was celebrating it, found it hilarious, was enjoying it. There's a huge group of people that don't see the positive in these things, when there are so many things that we can learn from memes like this. Yeah? What were the core tenets? Well, it was around a simple set of jokes that were easy for people to understand, that were maybe taken out of context but applied to a new situation. It was fun. There was an element of spectator enjoyment, which is very much where I was. But then there was an area of enjoyment of the people involved, which is why it propagated so quickly and in such an explosive way. And yet, then you look at what we when it comes to voting, we don't make it easy, we don't make it enjoyable, we don't make it a thing that people can invest in individually to make something bigger for everyone else around them. And especially in the UK where I am, it's very dry, it's a very old system, and it's kind of broken in many ways. And so, is it any wonder that only when things have started going terribly have we started seeing voter numbers go up? We need to have nets, and we need to have things in place to make things more fun and to prevent that slippage. Prevent people from only paying attention when things are already going badly. We need people engaged all the time, and the way to do that is to find ways to make it more fun, to have these cultural elements, these societal elements, these elements of behaviour that are passed from person to person through imitation and so on and so forth. There's a reason why most of these are based around fun and enjoyment and jokes and silly stuff. Creativity in regards to Bowsette. Where it's, you've got this game, and then the internet, even if they're not into Nintendo. I'm not into Nintendo. I've made this very clear in some of the other videos that I've made. There are a couple of games that I'm kind of like, be interesting to see how they go. But otherwise, Nintendo is literally the bottom of consoles for me. And I'm not saying that it's a bad console. I'm just saying that the games that it has on it and the way the control scheme work on their various consoles and things just aren't for me. And so as a result, even then, where I've not played a Mario game properly, other than being dragged into playing Mario Kart with friends at parties and things, I haven't played one since the Game Boy Color, where I think it was Super Mario World 2, I think, that I bought at the same time as I got the Game Boy. And so as a result, I'm definitely not invested in these characters, I'm definitely not invested in what's going on, and yet the amount of artwork, some of which is very strange, some of which is hilarious, some of which is just stunning with the quality, that is just being produced around this one idea, all these variations, all these ideas. It's terrific. It's something that should be celebrated more, but isn't. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come and kind of raise some awareness of it, because if you've got all of this creativity that it might not be people coming up with something completely original. But when it's someone has given you an idea, and you, like a gene, small mutations, small changes over time for the betterment of things overall, if you then are acting as that gene with that idea just gestating in your head, and then you can make an alteration to it, an improvement on it, a change to it that might influence different people. Like the fun with this whole Bowsette and Princess Boo and all the other characters around that, I'm sure that that's going to slow down at some point. But imagine how far it would have reached, And how many people would have been able to flex their creative muscles and get in on this in all manner of different ways? And who knows what kind of feedback then Nintendo are going to throw out. If they've got any sense, they'll capitalize on this, because they could use this and the creativity around it, which is something that Nintendo aren't very good at doing. You know, shutting down people that stream and play their videos online, or play their games online rather in videos. Shutting down people who do fan art of their characters, all that kind of thing. You know, they're not great at doing this so far. But if they were better, imagine how they could, you know, use this to grow and promote and get people doing more of what they want to do. Like the Labo system that they made, where you make stuff out of cardboard and then interact in the games with it and stuff like that. Great idea, but it's not going to grab as many people as they could. You know, they could, with things like Pokemon Go, where again you had Niantic going, yeah, we've got this idea. The Pokemon Company and Nintendo going, yeah, well, we want to make sure that we're promoting these ideas as well. You know, in terms of going out, grouping up, meeting people, going and kind of getting fit through just wandering places. Yeah. Again, for a while, that game spread like wildfire and then got ruined by the fact that the developers were trying to leverage one thing over another, misbalanced the game, and kind of things broke down again. And so then, yeah, it's still profitable, it still has its audience, but it's not as major as it was because they didn't capitalize on anything from the meme type kind of growth of it, passing from one person to the next, or by, you know, just keeping an eye on what they were actually doing and not making a mess. But again, this is why I wanted to bring this to you guys as well, because everything that we've been talking about, everything that we've been discussing these last few weeks, has been about relationships, especially intimate relationships. And if there's one person that you're going to pass things on to, have in-jokes with, or that kind of thing, develop your own internal culture with, within your own household, within your own relationship, it's going to be your partner. And it's going to then also probably be your children afterwards, you know, if that's a thing that happens. And so, especially with children, you know, ideas and behaviours being passed on from one person to another through imitation, that's where you need that. You know, this is where we need to learn more for the purposes of education from silly things like memes. And so, especially when it comes to you and your family, you and the people that you're closest to, look for ways to make things that need to change fun. Look for ways that they can become in-jokes but made more active. Like, I don't know your situations, I can't really speak to it, but Christ, the number of in-jokes and memes and things like that bounce around between me and Hannah is extreme. Some of which are literally just between the two of us based off one conversation that then allow us to cheer each other up non-stop, allow us to look at something and join in on the fun of it so that we can do something more constructive, so that we can follow through on the things that we hope for. You know, it's so useful to look for the fun, to look for the play, to get people involved and on board and all that kind of thing, rather than always the arguments and stuff like that. And so as a result, this is something that I'm going to be I'm not going to touch on it too much. I wanted this to be a bit more of a stopgap, talking about Mario characters and Ugandan Knuckles. I mean, yeah, actually we're kind of talking about just Sonic and Mario, but hey, but like, I didn't want this to get referenced too much during the rest of the week, but there's at least one point in the videos that are coming up over the next couple of days where, for a serious thing, keeping this stuff in mind about the fun of moving things from one person to the next, and how it is the fun stuff, the entertaining stuff, the humorous stuff, the sardonic stuff and sarcastic stuff that is very focused around joking and making fun. There's a reason why those things spread faster and more effectively than anything else, because we like positive as people. And so when we get onto that heavier stuff later this week, I might reference this a couple of times just to go, yeah, this is how we can use this practically, rather than me just talking about Mario and Sonic characters. But anyway, the thing that I would pose to you guys, considering I've just shared my favourite meme with you of the last few years, which was by far Ugandan Knuckles with all of the various videos and other stuff that's coming out around it. What are your favourite memes? What are the things that you have come across that just kept you in fits or kept you focused on it because it was just so interesting to see where it went next? What's your favourite meme of the last few years? Love to hear what they are. Share them down in the comments. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the video later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video later. Take care.